Yes, Chasing Green Arrows is back. I'm Gianni Matici. I'm joined by Big Man Backer. How are you guys in the chat? Let us know. And how are you, Big Man? Nice to see you again. It feels like a while since we've done a stream, just the two of us.
Hello, Johnny. Hello, all the sun viewers. Yeah, it sounds like it's been a while, but I didn't we do one last week, or was Dean on there?
I don't think we did one last week with just us two, because we did the Tuesday, and I feel like there was three of us. I feel like it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I have the memory of a goldfish as well, so I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
Lots has happened since then, actually. I've had a forgettable game week. I didn't have Chris Wood. My defense was a bit all over the place, so my game week didn't go according to plan, but it's fine. I've been doing well in recent weeks, so I mean, I had some negative variance go my way, which was inevitable. But hopefully, with the double to come, that's where the big swing will lie. And I think a lot of our discussion today will be centered around the double.
Yeah, man, I think so. I'm like you. Like, I didn't have Chris Wood, which cost me big, I guess. But for me, as a non-Wood owner, I always knew that was the week that would hurt me. And now I'm like, I'm fine. I don't feel like I'm going to get stung big without Chris Wood. But let's see. That could be famous last words. Maliki, thank you so much for sending. He loves it when work break during CGA. That is wicked, mate. Glad to hear that. Adam says one word, Foden, poor Gianni. Let's just touch on this nice and early, because I feel like I've debriefed on Foden enough through my various platforms, but it is Wednesday now and his name is still popping up. But seeing as me and Big Man haven't discussed it, we probably should. You rightly said last week, trust the decision, not the outcome, and it was 15 points for Foden. Well, it got even worse when he went and got 19 against Ipswich. Unbelievable, isn't it? Like, I'm at peace with it now, but Christ, it was unlucky for me.
Extremely, Johnny. And then again, I think my thoughts are the same. I, in fact, texted you during the game to stay strong because he was running absolutely right. And I mean, these things can happen at any time. It's just unfortunate that they've been happening sort of time and again, especially in your season. So, I mean, I guess it stings more than it would have had it been a one-off.
I always think over the course of a 38-game week season, luck or variance, call it what you want, probably balances out. If you look at my variance charts from, say, expected points, you'll struggle to find a content creator or FPLer that has worse than me this season. It has literally been dire from start to finish. Does that mean the second half of the season is going to even out and I'm going to get really lucky? Maybe. Or does it just mean it's a write-off of a season until next year? Maybe. Whatever it is, I'm cool with it. I'm at peace with it. I genuinely am. And I have to just remember it's just a stupid game that we all care about. Of course we do, but it's just a stupid game. And it's my job, so it's important. I'm not trying to discard it from anyone that goes, oh, it's more than a game to me. It's more than a game to me too. But I also have to remember it's not life or death. Mate, people are actually buying Phil Foden now. I don't like that.
I think I actually don't like any transfers being used on players that are not from Liverpool or Everton at this point, because we're so close to the double that now it's about time that we start planning for that. And I'm going to go all in on it. As of now, I'm planning on getting 6 players for the double. I already have Salah and Trent and Mykolenko, so that's 3. I'm going to be getting 3 more in the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to go all in.
My God, mate, that has really taken me aback. I was going to say, we'll talk Liverpool.
I could see that. I could see that.
Do we want to be buying Everton players was going to be my question to you. So let's talk Everton first and foremost, because I own Mykolenko. And I think if I didn't own Mykolenko, I'd probably want to buy him because he's someone you can hide as your 4th or 5th defender moving forward if his fixtures aren't good. And his fixtures aren't great. But if you're buying a DCL, it's hard to hide him on the bench. That's probably a transfer out waiting to happen, though, or a Pickford. Well, Pickford maybe not until Wildcard. But which Everton players do you like, and where are you looking to go?
I think a lot of this depends on your team structure and the way you can afford to sell. Let's say some of your players for the others.
Yeah,
I've got Jimenez. Exactly. Yeah. That was what I was going to come to. I have got Jimenez, and Jimenez. From this week, I mean, even this week, he's going to be on my bench. I'm not going to play him. But after this week, the fixtures for Fulham aren't exactly amazing. I mean, they're playing Newcastle next week, then Forest. The next 2 immediately are tough. And I would rather have Calvert-Lewin in his position. Yeah. And then, I mean, looking at blank game week 29, if I am to keep Calvert-Lewin, he has a West Ham at home. So I think he does serve a purpose, that he's cheap, uh, and he has a double, then he's going to play in the blank. I mean, I owned him early in the season, and it was a horrendous
Yeah,
experience.
we both had the same
Um,
entry and exit points on him, I think.
yeah, but I'm happy to go there again, because the Leicester at home fixture in 24 is the one which, it's the money ball fixture basically. I mean, if he gets anything against Liverpool, it's a bonus. But yeah, I just think it makes a lot of sense for my team, and the fact that he's sort of done well at the weekend against Spurs does give me further confidence in his minutes going forward.
Oh yeah, he's a proper Moyes forward as well. He's perfect. It'll be great for Moyes. And the Leicester fixture's there. There's a lot in the chat that will say, "Oh, Everton aren't for me, DCL's not for me," and that's fine. Big Man's caveated this with it comes down to personal preference in his team and his structure. If I own Raul Jimenez and I had the luxury of loads of transfers, and Big Man's got both those things in play, loads of rolled free transfers, no other major fires, and he's got Jimenez, probably a move I'd make. It's not a move I'll make because I have João Pedro in that slot and Nico Jackson, who's going to a Liverpool player. And I'm very happy with João Pedro. I don't think I'd swap João Pedro out for DCL. And obviously,
I
don't
won't either.
transfers either. But that Leicester fixture is really nice. Like Everton at Goodison Park versus Leicester is a good fixture.
If you look at the template front line, Johnny, for example, if someone has Isak, João Pedro, and Chris Wood, I don't think there's any place for Calvert-Lewin in that position. I think it's sort of difficult to.
Or Cody Gakpo.
Cody Gakpo as well. Yeah, then it
They'll
becomes
struggle
sort of
to reach him if they've got Wood, Isak, and João Pedro. Because you can't sell Chris Wood, can you?
I mean, it's tough. It's tough in his form, but when you look at the fixtures, there is a case to sell him. In 26, 27, 28, he's playing Newcastle, Arsenal, City.
I know. But he's just got 9 points against Liverpool.
Yeah, but then again, I think it's important to sort of realize that, for example, I've owned Mbomo throughout the course of the season, and I realized that he's gotten very, very lucky with some of the points that he's gotten. When you look at his XG and when you look at his actual points and his actual goals, he's actually far outperformed his numbers. And I think a very similar case can be made for Chris Wood as well. Now, I'm not saying this out of, let's say, jealousy or spite because I don't own him, but it's generally true that when you look at his numbers and compare his XG to his actual goals, he has overperformed, right? So I think for owners, if they have a spare transfer in hand in 24, I would be very tempted to sell Chris Wood for either Gakpo or Calvert-Lewin, depending on their budget.
I've not owned Chris Wood all season for the same reason as you. I look at the underlyings and I look at often the fixture runs, and I don't like either of those things. But he keeps overperforming as expected by a country mile, and Forest keep achieving in the difficult games too. So yeah, I don't think I could sell him now if I owned him. But it's why I haven't moved to him. Let's carry on with the Everton theme though. Calvert-Lewin we've discussed. Let's talk other Everton assets. Who else do you like?
I want to touch a bit on Ndia as well. He was someone I was considering a few weeks ago, but now that Calvert-Lewin is back, I don't think it's worth going for Ndia over him because Calvert-Lewin is likely to get in the better positions. He'll be the number 9, and I'd expect
both listed as forwards, right? He should be a midfielder guy, but he's not.
Exactly, similar price. I'd expect Calvert-Lewin to get a significant majority of the chances, and Pence as well. I would assume would go for Calvert-Lewin. This is not set in stone, but this is the assumption that I can make. Apart from that, if people have Mykolenko or if they're looking for an enabler, I guess Mykolenko is fine. I already own him, but I'm not sure I would necessarily go out of the way to bring him in because at the end of the day, they will concede a couple of goals against Liverpool. So it's essentially just one fixture you're getting against Leicester. Pickford is one I like. I own Flecken, and Flecken to Pickford is a transfer I might be looking to make next week because Flecken's been useless for me this season, and this week was so annoying because that was basically my make or break point for this week. Even though I had captain Salah was mass captain, so I didn't really care about his points. That late goal really, really stung, and that was basically the difference between me having let's say a par week and a bad week, which I did. right? Or else I would have been on par, because remember he was on 3 bonus points as well. I would have hit 11 points with Flecken,
Oh yeah,
and
we saw
it
this
just
only a couple of months ago with Flecken at Fulham, wasn't it? He was on like an 11-pointer and ended on a 3-pointer. It was outrageous, and it's
yeah.
same again.
I realized I was lucky, but I mean I was lucky to be in this position where he was cleaning against Liverpool. But for it to get wiped in
Yeah,
the last 4 minutes, it was so bad, and that was basically what ruined my week. But anyway, what's done is done, and I think Flecken can go now because the fixtures for Brentford, they're all right, but
they're not clean sheet
I mean
fixtures.
defensively.
Yeah,
Exactly, they're not clean sheet fixtures, and even in the easier fixtures, they are giving up plenty of XG. So I don't exactly rate the defense, and I might as well go with the keeper who's doubling. So Pickford is an option for me, and I'm sort of mentioning all these transfers because I'm actually in this position where I've saved 4 free transfers, and that's why I can sort of afford to have the luxury to spend transfers on, let's say, luxury moves. Otherwise, I don't think I would be doing these kind of transfers. Let's say if I had 1 or 2 free transfers in hand.
yeah. That's the beauty of rolling as you have been. I think there's 4 goalkeepers any manager should own now. I think there's only 4 names. I think if I owned a Flecken, a Verbruggen, a Kepa, a Sanchez, I'd be selling them all. Like, use a transfer on a goalkeeper, guys. We don't seem to do it, but you can. They're as important as your second and third defenders, and we use transfers on them all the time. So I reckon the 4 keepers, Alisson, Raya, sells because of what he's done, and he still will continue to be good. And then I could throw Pickford in as a 4th. But I must admit, looking at Pickford, do you not think find the extra 500,000 and buy an Alisson? Find the extra 0.6 and buy a Raya? Like, Pickford's expensive. Like, he's 5 million. If he was 4.5, I'd be very pro Pickford in that category of buy. But at the moment, I've got the 3, and then I've got Pickford just outside those 3, I think.
No, I hear you, and I sort of get your point. The reason I can't go Alisson is because I'm considering tripling up on Liverpool elsewhere. So
Yeah.
I think Pickford sort of suits me better, and Raya is not someone I've looked at in the short run because Arsenal playing City in 24 and Everton have a double, so I might as well go with the doubler. It seems I know Raya will obviously outscore him in the long run, but I mean if I'm wildcarding, let's say in 30, and I'm getting the extra fixture with Pickford, coupled with the fact that he gets so many save points, I might as well chance it. So I think I'll go with Pickford. Very honestly.
China 1000 says Everton cost extra transfers because you've also got to sell them. I kind of disagree with that with a wild card on the horizon. If you're looking at, say, a wild card 30, which many managers are, then you can rotate them onto your bench or sell them. Players like Mikalenko, you can hide on your bench. Pickford, you might rotate with someone else. Like, I don't think that all necessarily in Calvert-Lewin, you wouldn't have to start him every week. So I don't necessarily see that with wildcards in hand.
Yeah, I want to touch on these 3. I mean, Pickford, I think even as a perma play is not a really bad keeper to play because he will make saves.
Too. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. He's fine. I mean, to keep. And he has a good fixture in Game Week 29 where a lot of other teams are blanking. I mean, Raya will blank in 29. That's why I'm not considering any Arsenal player. That's also a very important point to make. If Newcastle hold on to their lead in the EFL Cup, then Arsenal will blank in 29. That's why picking Raya does not exactly make sense to me because I'd be without a goalkeeper in 29. So I think playing Pickford is fine. I've had Mikalenko all season, and I don't think I've started him more than 2 or 3 times. So he's been on the bench permanently, and I can just hide him. And with Calvert-Lewin, you make a good point that given the structure that a lot of teams have, they have the likes of Rodgers, Ahmad, Semenyo. Calvert-Lewin doesn't have to play every week. You can just bench him, and he can be the 8th attacker. And they take up a very tiny portion of your budget, so it's not as if you're sort of you'll be hamstrung by keeping them. So it's fine.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Do you look at 29 as a week where you definitely won't free hit? Because I don't see 29 as a week where I'll free hit. I think we've got enough planning for that game week to 4 or 5 weeks worth of transfers to effectively cover ourselves or dead end, because so many will cover ourselves by dead ending and wildcarding out of it. There is also going to be a blank game week in 30. Is it 4? I think it's 4 off the top of my head.
It's in 34. That's true.
Yeah, 33 and 6 are doubles, 34 and 29 are the blank. So it could be that we free hit in 34, as in another blank.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to free hit this week for sure. I'll be free hitting later on in the bigger blank because Newcastle and Palace don't exactly seem to be teams which you'd want to free hit for. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not exactly teams a lot of people have loaded up on. I mean, yes, people have 4 players, let's say, from Newcastle, Palace combined on average. You can get rid of them by 29. There's plenty of time. We can plan around. It's fine. The big thing is that Arsenal and Chelsea both are likely to play now in 29, and that sort of changes things. Had Arsenal Chelsea also been a blank, then I think a lot of people would have free hit it in 29. But at this moment in time, I think because Game Week 29 is manageable, not a lot of people will free hit. And I think that's perfectly fine and makes sense.
Yeah, we will know the outcome of the EFL semi-finals and therefore the EFL final, which affects blank Game Week 29. I think I'm right in saying this. We will know during Game Week 24. It's during Game Week 24, isn't it? Because
it's after, isn't it?
No, because the second leg is being played before Liverpool play Everton, which is the second part of Game Week 24. Game Week 24 goes on for about 2 weeks. Game Week 24 is open for 2 weeks. It starts on like the 1st of Feb, and then Liverpool play Everton on the 12th of Feb. Something like in the middle of that, on the 7th or 8th, is when the EFL Cup semi-finals take place.
So we'll find that after the Game Week 24 deadline, right?
After the 24 deadline, but during the game week,
yeah, during the game week, but after the deadline. That's what confused me.
Yeah, after the deadline. So that is annoying. It is after the deadline, so it's 1 week less to plan. But then, we can work it out. Well, we can't work it out. We can look at bookies' odds. I mean, those semi-finals are intriguing because Liverpool Spurs is a big one. Spurs have got the advantage, but then Liverpool are the home team flying and Spurs are so bad. Like the bookies' odds would suggest that Spurs go to the final, but actually, will they? Probably not.
I don't think they are. I think there's close to 60% chance
still on Liverpool. Are they? Must be pretty 50-50, I guess. But and then Newcastle, Arsenal are struggling. Like they have got to go to St James's, and I think it's a 2-goal lead. That'd be tough.
Yes, exactly. I think Newcastle have a clear advantage, and I think Liverpool Spurs is close to 50-50. I'd actually back Liverpool to progress. I mean, given the reasons you mentioned, Spurs are a mess, and Liverpool at home are generally fairly strong, and you'd expect them to beat Spurs by a couple of goals.
Yeah, so that would mean the blank. Let's just assume Newcastle beat Arsenal. That means Arsenal and Chelsea, their fixture in 29 goes ahead, which is great for many that have got Arsenal defence and Palmer and maybe 1 or 2 other Chelsea players. It then means Newcastle Palace would be the blank. So you might have to offloading your Eze's or your Lewis Halls by 29. I think that's fine. Probably keep an Isak anyway. And then the other games are Aston Villa, Liverpool. So if Liverpool do turn it around, then, okay, very few have got Villa players, but you might be selling your Liverpool players or benching them. Like Salah, you're going to bench because you're going to have so much money tied up in him unless you need the money for a Haaland by then. And then the other flip side of that is the Spurs game. So Spurs-Fulham. I mean, I would love Spurs-Fulham to go ahead, to Spurs to get to the final, because I don't have any Fulham players and I've got no Spurs players. So Liverpool-Villa actually being on in 29 would be quite nice, but many will be in the same boat, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
Jenny, what are your thoughts on the assistant manager chip for people who are looking to use it in 24? Let's talk a bit about the chips, especially Game Week 24. Are you in the assistant manager chip category or are you in the triple captain camp? Because if I recall correctly, you've used your triple captain on Haaland early in the season, right? But hypothetically, assuming that you hadn't, which way would you go and why?
100% would be triple captaining Salah. Get it out the way almost, because I think the assistant manager chip might be more useful later down the line. But because I have used my triple captain, and I'm not going to be going with the crowd, which is going to be triple captain Salah, I feel like to try and get gains there, doing something different might be needed. And doing something different would be actually employing the assistant manager chip in that period, especially, and it's a very slim chance, but you could get a double game week for Fulham and Spurs. That 29 fixture could drop in if Spurs reach the final, which is unlikely, of the EFL Cup, and if Spurs finish top 8 in Europa. So this is like a 10-15% chance that 25 is a double. If 25 is a double, then everyone will want to use their assistant manager chip, and that's what I'll be doing. But even if it's not,
by then it'll be too late, because we're likely to hear that announcement of the double in after the 24 deadline. So you might get lucky if you play the chip and the double gets announced in, let's say, after the Game Week 24 deadline.
which I'm maybe open to. So some have said, like I saw Ben Crellin say something along the lines of there would be a provisional announcement. So whilst we won't know for sure that there's a double in 25, before the 24 deadline, there could be a provisional announcement. So let's see. Maybe we will know going into 24. But even if we don't, one, I could get lucky. And two, I could still be open to playing it anyway. But I wouldn't be playing it on Liverpool. One, because I want triple Liverpool in my team. I want Cody Gakpo ASAP for the Ipswich fixture this week, which means no Arna slot, space available. But more importantly, at my rank, you got to be going triple. You got to be going assistant managership for the bonus, and Arna slot's not going to do that. David Moyes, however, does do that. And David Moyes versus Leicester, sure, it could be a routine win, whatever. You don't get the bonus, but it's Liverpool at Goodison Park. Could David Moyes get a draw? Maybe. And then I could move it. I could either stick with Everton at Moyes, who goes to Selhurst Park in 25, or if Palace are 5 places above Everton, or I could go for someone like Fulham. Fulham play Forest at Craven Cottage. I reckon Fulham could beat Forest at home. So I'm very willing to use transfers. I'm very willing to consider Moyes.
Gianni, I was going to come to this, and I'm sort of glad that you share a very similar opinion that this kind of route for someone looking at deploying the chip in 24 could work well. I think it would be a very good route. Going with David Moyes in Game Week 24, then going with, because we're targeting some of the lesser teams and we're targeting the table bonus, so we're not exactly chasing the likes of Arne Slot. That's the main point we're trying to make here. So someone like David Moyes, then you move him on after the double for, let's say, Marco Silva against Forest again, a fixture you'd expect the table bonus to kick in. And after this fixture in Game Week 26, you can go for someone like, let's say, Van Nistelrooy. I don't mind it because Leicester at home to Brentford and Brentford away are terrible. So this could be a strategy where you can actually target 3 of the lesser teams and make some big gains out of it. So, Gianni, I think this is something you need to keep in mind. I assume right now there's close to a 20% chance of you doing this and saving it for later.
Yeah, I'd say so. Do you know what? I need to see Moyes play again. We've seen Moyes versus Spurs. They play Brighton away this week. Let's see how they look. Like, if I'm impressed by Moyes this week, that probably 15% goes up to 35%. But I'm still likely not to. Game week 25 for the assistant manager chip. I don't love the it's not Leicester Brentford. I think it's Leicester.
It's Leicester Brentford 25, 26.
Oh, sorry, 26. Yeah, 26.
I was mentioning the week after.
Yeah, okay, yeah, 24, 25, 26, yeah. Sorry, yeah, Leicester Brentford. Don't know if I love it, but I have looked at that fixture list and gone, the one guy I would like to go is Pep, but Pep's not going to be 5th or 6th.
Exactly.
So which is annoying because Pep plays Liverpool. And Newcastle play Forest again at home, but I don't think Newcastle will be 5 places below Forest. So I don't look at the 26th fixture list and see a good opportunity for the bonus. It probably, as you say, is Leicester Brentford, but putting my trust in Leicester seems don't know.
Yeah, it does seem a bit suboptimal, but anyway, I mean,
bad week 26.
It's a bad week to have this managership. I agree. It's a week where it's very difficult to see upsets happening, and it's a week where some of the games are relatively close. As Aston Villa, Chelsea, for example, Newcastle, Forest, City, Liverpool. Some fixtures are tough to predict as well.
Yeah, it's a shame. There's a few where I'm like, oh, if that was difference between home and away flipped, maybe I'd go there. Like Bournemouth Wolves. Yeah, I fancy Bournemouth to win, but if that was at Molineux, I might just go. I mean, I could back against Bournemouth for a week. But, it's not. It's at the Vitality. Interesting thoughts, guys. Let us know if you're looking. We'll do a poll. Are you looking to use your assistant manager chip in or from double game week 24? We won't say who, but are you looking to use it? Yes or no? Let's do
Johnny, I'll be using the triple captain chip in 24, I think, almost certainly. And I think this is the week where I have to sort of make this decision because currently I have 2 Liverpool players. And should I decide to buy the third one, it essentially locks me out of the assistant managership.
Yeah.
So this is the week where I have to take the call. And Currently, I'm leaning towards playing the triple captainship in 24. I think there will be further opportunities for playing the chip from 34 to 36. That's the window I'm targeting. But right now, with Salah in this form and the fixtures looking good, I think this week seems too good to pass up.
Yeah, it's going to be heavy. It's going to be the world and their dog. If you've got your triple captainship, you've got to do it. The luck will be is does a double game week drop into 25? And if we get that provisional announcement, then you probably don't play it because you'll go assistant manager chip on Moyes or Slot. But by then you'll have 6 Everton and Liverpool players, so that will be tough.
Yeah. The thing is that while this double could drop, we can't effectively take it into consideration because it won't be announced before the game week 24 deadline. So it can't be part of our planning. Exactly.
Of course, yeah, because Spurs play during that game week. Yeah, in that second leg. No, you're right. Guys, we'll do a poll. From double game week 24, are you looking to use your triple captain chip, your assistant manager chip, or no chip in that window? Big man, just to go to your chip strategy then. You mentioned assistant manager chip later in the season from 34. Does that mean you are on wildcard 30 or 31 out of the blank game week? Yeah. And then bench boost in the other big double of 34 or 30, no, 30.
6, I think. Wait,
30.
No, it's not 36.
No, the doubles are 33. So you'd bench boosting double game week 33, free hitting blank game week 34, and then assistant manager chip in 36, 7, and 8.
That's the plan. That's what I'm looking at right now. And yeah, wildcard could be 30 or 31 depending on how my team is looking in game week 29, depending on as well, the fixture swings. I think there's a case to be made for it to be played in 31, but currently I'm leaning towards using it in 30. But apart from that, yes, I'll be sort of dead ending into 29, and then I can see where we go from there. Because in 29, I sort of mentioned this in the previous show as well, that I'm planning on bringing Haaland in. I can see him being the best captain, and I assume a lot of people will as well. City are playing at home to Brighton. If Liverpool are blanking, and if Newcastle are blanking, which is likely or is possible, then I think we can look at a potential switch from Isak and Salah into let's say a Haaland and a cheaper midfielder. I think moves like that could be popular, or maybe even Trent out, Salah out. Moves like that. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. But it will cost me in team value, and I assume a lot of people will share the same predicament because team value will suffer quite a lot if we sell Salah and then buy him back later. But I think I'm gonna chase the points because we'll be approaching the back end of the season. Might as well just go for the points.
I think so. I think I like that plan. And I think a load are going to be wildcarding in 30, but 30 is an option, but as you say, if you're not using your next chip until double game week 33, which for many will be a chip, a bench boost, that wildcard might not come in 30. It might come in 31. It could even be stretched to 32. If you want a wildcard just before your bench boost, which is something a lot of managers like to do, then you could go, I'm gonna effectively dead end in 31 and then wildcard in 32 because I see a couple of fixtures where I want to go for 1 week punts. And by that point, we haven't got to think too much about rolling transfers. You might roll transfers to 2 or 3 every now and then, but you don't want to end the season, get to game week 38, be like, I've got 5 free transfers, I can go nuts on the last day. Sure, that's nice, but there might be more value in using those transfers earlier. So what we're doing at the moment, Big Man's been brilliant at this, is accumulating loads of transfers to be able to be really flexible around doubles and blanks. From 32, 33, with chips in hand, you're not going to need that many transfers. So you might want to dead end in, say, a 31 or 32, not a 30.
Johnny, we will need transfers by the time we use this manager chip. I think in that spell between, let's say when we use it, the 3-week period, we'll need transfers to swap managers around. We'll need transfers to use on our squads. So
yeah,
that's why, I don't exactly want to use too much of them in the short run. I hopefully want to be in a position where by game week 30, I have, let's say, 4 at least. Yeah. And then we can sort of go from there. This strategy is, I sort of realized the fact that, because I've opted for this strategy of saving transfers, I have lost out on points in the short run. For example, I don't have any other Newcastle apart from Isak. I don't have Chris Wood. I don't have any other Palace apart from Eze. So it has cost me some points in the short run, but I'm fairly confident that I can make them up in the long run.
A couple of weeks ago, I told you to sell Gabriel for Munoz, and Gabriel's had 2 1-pointers since then, or 1 and a 2. Munoz is a 12. So that was a prime example of you going, no, I don't need to use that transfer. I'm not gonna spend it. And look, you've been really unlucky with Gabriel. Like, Arsenal will keep loads of cleans and he's a fantastic own. But yeah, I hear you. At times you go, oh, there's a cost to rolling the transfers. And that was one example, I guess.
Exactly. So there will be weeks where, my rank will suffer, but hopefully I can make up for it. The team looks good this week, and I think it'll look even stronger. Yeah, sure. And it'll look even stronger, hopefully, in 2024 if I decide to go ahead with the plan that I have in mind. Can we have my team up on screen?
I'm just putting in the chat as well. Gakpo chat coming up. We'll show the team in just a sec. Our producer might be struggling with connection or something. He's the one pressing the button for the team.
It's her. All right. Nice. So I think when you look at my team journey, I think this week my transfer sort of picks itself because I've been hamstrung with the Saliba injury. It's come at a really annoying time, actually. Even last week it was fairly annoying because I had Colwill on the bench. He also got injured. And then I had Mykolenko come in against Spurs. So I generally have a fairly deep bench, but this was a week where, luck went against me. But anyway, Saliba will have to go now. I don't think he'll be back anytime soon. I mean, he could be back in a couple of weeks against City, but that's not a fixture I want him for anyway. Yeah. So Saliba is basically going to go for sure because I don't exactly have the bench depth to cover either, because when you look at my team, Colwill has City away, Mykolenko has Brighton away. They're not exactly fixtures I want to play them in.
Yeah.
Apart from that, my attack is fine. I'll be benching Raul because the rest of the attack looks fairly strong. Saliba will go, and I think the decision to get which third Liverpool is basically been made for me, right? I have to get a third Liverpool defender.
Yeah, it would be silly not to buy either a Liverpool or an Everton player in that slot, knowing you're getting 6 of both. I mean, you could go to a second Everton defender.
Yeah, but I prefer Pickford. Anyway. I would rather have Pickford over. Let's say I prefer Pickford and a Liverpool defender as compared to, let's say, Tarkowski and Alisson. I would rather have the Liverpool defender so that I don't have 2 Everton defenders in my defense every week. Then I can't effectively hide them. That would be really difficult. So yeah, Saliba will go for a Liverpool defender. I'm not sure which one though. It will be one of Van Dijk or Konate.
Yeah.
I'm sort of struggling to come to a conclusion there because I like both. I really want Konate.
Huge price difference. It's at 1.4 million or something. It's a big price difference.
Exactly. It's a big difference, and it's just whether or not I trust Konate to stay fit, because if I do, then there's a no-brainer to pick him over Van Dijk because of the price difference.
Yeah.
But do I trust him? I'm not sure. I mean, he just gave an interview where he said that he's been playing with painkillers every game. I don't know.
Which is quite normal, but annoying to hear if you want to buy that player.
It is normal, but for him to say it out loud, it makes it worse.
Yeah. What I'd say is that double game week, there's 11 days between the 2 fixtures, but there's also 2 games. The game before Everton is Plymouth in the FA Cup. Konate's getting a rest that game anyway. So you know that. You know Konate's not playing versus Plymouth, which means he's definitely playing against Everton. So as long as you don't get an injury, the rotation and the amount of rest to manage his minutes, and centre-backs often don't need a huge amount of minute management because they do less running, but Konate, if fit, absolutely starts both games in the double, and they'll manage his minutes in FA Cup, and if they need to, EFL Cup.
He was rested last night as well.
Yeah, and rested last night, as was Gakpo and Trent. Again, it's knowing with the run in mind. Yeah,
he should start against Ipswich as well. I don't exactly. Initially, I was planning on waiting on a league, but I think that sort of picks itself now. Yeah, I mean it's difficult. I'll knowing how safe I am, I might go for Van Dijk, but I really want to go for Kanate. So
Hmm.
that's something which will bother me
You'll need
for
that
a while.
extra
I
million
think
down the line, won't you? Or ideally, have the extra million down the line.
that would help. That would help for sure. But nothing would be worse than buying Kanate only for him to get injured and then for me to sell him again.
Yeah.
That would be an absolute disaster.
Have you seen where it could affect you, that million? Like, is that million? We know a million's always going to be useful, but have you looked at your moves and gone, if I have that million, I can do this player instead of this player? Have you got to that point?
Not in the next couple of weeks. It won't affect my transfer the next couple of weeks, which is all I really want to focus on.
Yeah.
Because a lot can change after that, right? But there's a break as well. Game week 25 will probably start, I think, in mid-Feb. There's a that's a long time away. So I don't really want to look at transfers after that. But for the next 2 game weeks, whether or not I buy Virgil or Kanate, my transfers don't change. So might as well go for the safer one. I don't know.
Oh, it's tough.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, but knowing myself, that's
Van
what I
Dijk
would
does
do.
edge it for goal threat too, and he
I
does
mean,
edge
goal
it for
threat.
bonus. But you get 3 goals a season. Like, it's unlikely you're going to get a goal in the small window.
When was the last time Liverpool scored from a set piece? They're not Arsenal.
Yeah, true. It's not Gabriel.
I don't recall Liverpool. I don't recall Liverpool scoring from a set piece in quite a while, actually.
No, I can't think off the top of my head. I'm going to just look. How many goals does Van Dijk ordinarily score in a season? So this season he scored 1. Last season he got 2. 2 years before that, 3 and 3, but then 1 the year before that. So he averages 2 goals a season, and he's already had one of them.
And Konate? Konate
Similar.
hasn't been...
Similar. I think Konate has scored this season, hasn't he? Has he got 1? Yes. Konate's got a goal and an assist. Last season he didn't score.
So there's nothing between them, basically.
Yeah.
So the extra price that I'm paying is basically for the security of...
It's a lot of money,
minutes
though.
and fitness.
1.3 million.
It is. I wish Robertson was an option. I just don't.
I mean, Tsimikas is way too risky, but
Exactly. That's why I haven't mentioned Robertson. But
Alisson's the safest bet, mate. Why don't you go Alisson instead of Pickford? Save money that way as well. If you go Tarkowski and Alisson.
The problem will be after game week 24, hiding 2 Everton defenders in my backline will be a nightmare.
Yeah.
This way, I can hide Mykolenko, and Pickford is fine for saves.
Yeah.
Right? So I think the Alisson door has been shut on me. I don't think I will go Alisson. I think the Saliba injury has basically dictated that I have to go for a third Liverpool defender as my third Liverpool slot. Right? So Alisson, that door is shut. It's just whether or not I decide to buy Van Dijk or Konate. Yeah, that's going to be my decision. We'll discuss this further on my in the stream on Friday with Dean. But for now, this is the team. The rest fairly it picks itself. I don't think there's much to discuss in my team elsewhere apart from this.
Yeah, you've not got any benching dilemmas either. Like, I think benching Raul Jimenez to play Rodgers makes sense, and it would just be the one move for you this week. You don't fancy selling Flecken a week early and getting on Pickford for Brighton? I mean, is Pickford or Flecken the better shout this week? I don't know.
I might as well save. I'm fully expecting Brighton to score and Palace to score as well, so I don't think there's much between them anyway. Yeah. But next week, Raul to Calvert-Lewin can happen.
Yeah,
and so can Flecken to Pickford.
Yeah, there we go.
Then I can be in for quite a week depending on how Everton fared in 24. That would be really fun.
You need a big result against Leicester, don't you? I mean, which is very possible, to be fair. It's the one game you want for Moyes' team at home is Leicester at the minute. Guys, thank you so much for all your questions.
Pickford historically, Johnny, has been good for saves in the bigger fixtures. He will make saves. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I'm still scarred from not owning him in the double last season where he was playing Liverpool. Everton got a 0-0 and he got close to like an 11-12 pointer. Wow. Do you remember that? I think it was close to the end of the season. I think it came double game week 35 or 33. And I didn't own him there. And he was massively high owned. And that was a killer for me. I'm hoping the tables can sort of turn and he can do me a favor this time around.
Honestly, I think Everton have got a chance to get a 0-0 against Liverpool.
Don't give me hope. Don't give me hope.
That's why I'm looking at Moyes, right? It's the last Merseyside derby at Goodison Park. And Liverpool might, if you get them on an off week, last night against Lille, they were poor. They had 7 shots and most of them came late. Only 7 shots. Like Liverpool, if you get them on an off day, at Goodison especially, you might have a chance of a draw, which is why I don't mind the Pickford shout. I certainly don't mind the Moyes shout. Guys, get your questions in. Maliki, you asked a question earlier. We'll bring it. We'll try and find it or re-ask us because you sent a super chat at the start. So I want to make sure we answer that. Guys, yes, thank you, Nikolai. Likes and subscribes are really, really welcome as well. I think it's the first time I've asked you to hit that like button today. So if you fancy doing it, then please do. Big man, the blank game week that we're going to see is 29 that we all know about, EFL Cup final. The other blank game week comes after the double. So there's a double in 33 and a blank in 34. Is that because game week 34 that will be an FA Cup like quarterfinals or something, will it? Is that an FA Cup round?
FA Cup week, yeah.
So we really don't know who's going to be blanking. It's too early to even get a taste of who might be because most teams are still in the FA Cup.
Also in 29, you were mentioning the free hit and discussing it earlier. I think what makes it riskier to sort of free hit in that week is that we won't exactly know the state of how the blanks and doubles will be after game week 30. And we'll only have a full picture of it after game week 29. So determining whether free hit 29 will be better than the free hit later will not be basically possible at the time we free hit in 29. So might as well just navigate it and save it for later when we have a clear picture of how things will be.
Yeah, okay, I hear that. Mate, let's talk a little bit about Liverpool attackers because so many in the chat are interested in Cody Gakpo and we've not mentioned him. We said we would talk Liverpool attack. We've spoken a lot about Liverpool defenders and we both think like it's a coin toss between Van Dijk and Konate. I think I'd go Konate and save the money, but I get that's risky. And I also think Alisson's a great shout. Attackers. If you didn't have to commit to this transfer of Saliba, would you be looking at a Gakpo or anyone else, or do you think the double defenses wins?
I don't think it's as clear cut as saying the double defense wins. I think the slight advantage the double defense has is the one of the security of minutes, where there's just no headache when it comes to minutes. I do think Gakpo will start both fixtures, though. Things are looking good for him. I am fairly confident on his minutes because when you look at his minutes in the previous few weeks, he's consistently been getting the significant majority of playing time. He was rested last night against Lille. I fully expect him to feature this week against Ipswich as well. And then very likely in the double as well, considering that the 2 fixtures are PSV and Plymouth. So he's going to get minutes, Jani. So if someone, let's say, has Jackson like you do, or if someone has Solanke like a lot of people do, then Solanke to Gakpo is a transfer I think I'd probably make.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And Jackson to Gakpo, if you're me?
Yeah, I did mention Jackson. I did mention that.
Sorry, I think it's Solanke.
Yeah, I did. I did mention Jackson as well. And the fact that, Jota is now, he's not exactly been training and he's so risky, hasn't started a game in ages. I just think Gakpo's fine.
Yeah. And Gakpo got his rest last night. And last night was really interesting because Luis Diaz actually got his opportunity on the left-hand side. And Luis Diaz really wants to play on the left-hand side, but he's had to play number 9. He gets to play on the left-hand side, does very little. I watched bits of the game. I've watched the highlights and I've seen the data. No shots, 0.09 expected assists. I think 2 dribbles, 2 key passes. Got hooked on the 75th minute when the game was still in the balance. Chiesa came on and was sharper. That was Luis Diaz. If Luis Diaz has scored a hat-trick from the left last night, you'd be a little bit worried about buying Gakpo. You don't need to be, guys. Gakpo is safe as houses. He started the last 10 in the Premier League. Yes, you'll get some early subs. Yes, he'll probably play in the Champions League next week because it's PSV, which is his club. He'll want to play against his old club. But I think that's fine. He still gets the rest against Plymouth. You just hope the ceiling is there. If you're going triple Liverpool, or you're going attacker especially, buy them this week. Don't roll. Get that Ipswich fixture. Ipswich at home. You can't be passive on this one. City just scored 6 against them. It could be the same. If Liverpool go and score 6 and you go, I'm saving my transfers until the double of 24, no, buy him in 23. A big man, you're doing the same with the defender. I'm doing the same with Gakpo. Like, I think that's got to be the play, isn't it?
I agree. I think this is the week to go for them because Ipswich is the money ball fixture to target, and then you have the double, so might as well get them this week. Makes very little sense to wait when you're going to make that transfer in 24 anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
This is why I think it's very, very important to prioritize Liverpool players this week and then Everton potentially in 24, if possible. I mean, not as a necessity, but if possible. So I think apart from this, I don't think people should be looking at making any further transfers in their teams unless it's absolutely necessary, which I doubt it will be.
Yeah, I'm there. That's same as me. I'm surprised so many are buying non-Liverpool and Everton players. Like we're seeing a lot of love. What should we just touch on some of those other players like Mateta? Perfectly good buy, Watkins, but it's just about targeting the double, I guess. But how do you feel about players like Mateta and Watkins?
I mean, they're fine, but should they be a priority transfer in? I don't think so.
Yeah. I don't think I would go there. Yeah,
I agree.
Let's
take some questions, Rani.
Yeah.
Nice. Let's take some questions. Okay, you go first, Rani.
I like Johan Vista very much, and Brentford get big chances. The fixtures aren't brilliant at the moment. I don't think I'd buy him, but I wouldn't sell him.
Matt is asking, so Timber is worth selling this week? I guess you can keep him this week, but depends on if you're like, let's say if you want a Liverpool defender, then I think you can sell Timber. But if you don't have a spare Liverpool slot, then I think keeping Timber this week is fine.
Yeah, I think so. Freddie in the house. Jackson replacements. Freddie's already got Gakpo. I think he's looking to maybe captain Gakpo this week, I think he mentioned. Is Watkins worth the punt? He is. And John Duran is... there's a good chance John Duran is off, which then doesn't mean the early subs for Watkins. The fixtures are there for Villa. I think I probably prefer Mateta just. Don't know. Definitely an option, though.
Yusuf is asking, bench Pedro, vote Bruno, currently on Bruno. I definitely won't bench Pedro. Probably not Bruno either. I think I would probably bench... Who's Wood playing? Wood is playing Bournemouth as well. This is tough. I think I would still probably lean towards Wood.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. We're swapping Bruno to Mbermo. No, don't be selling Bruno. Like, Bruno's still good. United might be rubbish, but Ahmad and Bruno are still good FPL picks, and we've said that all season.
What to do with Jimenez? I think you keep him this week and then you bend him for Calvert-Lewin next week.
There we go. Easy switch there. Same prices, pretty give or take. Thoughts on Bruno Diaz? No. Diaz could start number 9, but Darwin might start number 9. We might get a leak, by the way. If you can, hold your Liverpool transfers. I'm going Gakpo, who I don't think we need to wait for a leak on. I think Gakpo's going to start. And I'm losing money on Jackson by the minute. So I'm probably making that move tonight. But if you're looking at a Diaz, then you can wait till Saturday.
Ben Sar or Jimenez? I think I'd bench Jimenez. I think I like the fixture for Palace a bit more.
Manoz or Kirkez? Manoz has got a better sustained fixture run. Kirkez has got Forest and Liverpool up next, but then a great run. I'd go Manoz.
Do you think it's time to ditch Wood? We've already discussed this earlier in detail.
Yeah, we like Chrissy Wood, but we understand. Consideration to use free hit in the double 33. Oh, good question, Ty. Thanks for this. This needs probably both of us. Is it impossible to navigate the blanks without a chip? Scarred from last season. It's definitely possible. Free hit in double 33 is an interesting one. So many will use the 2 big doubles for assistant manager for one and bench boost for another. If, however, you're using your assistant manager in 24, you can definitely free hit in one of those big doubles. And that would be the play I'd go with. The bigger upside is often the free hits. In a double, you can lose points, you can gain points. Free hitting in a blank often comes with a lower floor, but a lower ceiling, higher floor, lower ceiling. What do you think of that, big man? If you were using assistant manager sooner, like 24, could you bench boost in 33 or free hit in 33 and 36 those 2 weeks?
I think I'm a fairly strong advocate of free hitting in 34 and not in 29, because I think there's a legit debate to be had in the windows for the bench booster chip and the assistant manager chip. The assistant manager chip, you can play, let's say, between 31 and 33. And if you go that way, then you can use the bench boost in 36. Or alternatively, you can bench boost in 33 and then use the assistant manager in 36 to the window between 38. So that's what I think those are the two realistic routes that most people will take. I think if you're not free hitting in 29, you free hit in 34.
How big a blank is 34 likely to be? And the teams that blank in 34, when do they get their fixture back? Is that the 36 double?
Yes, exactly. And I mentioned that we won't find out how big the 34 blank will be till after the game week 29 deadline, right? So that's when we'll have a better picture of how things will stand. But obviously, it'll be much bigger than the 29 one.
And that's why the 34 blank and the 36 double are so important to play the chip so smart. If you're not free hitting in 34, let's say you make sure you get 11 players out, then you're going to be in trouble for the double because you've got loads of players that have just played in 34. Therefore, they won't double in 36. So unless you're wildcarding between the 2 weeks, that's a really tricky play. Free hitting in the blank means you keep your squad full of doublers. So when double 36 comes round, you get big numbers.
You have a better chance. Bench Pedro Rogers. I think I'd bench Rogers from those two, but I want to play both, to be honest.
Bench Wood or Semenyo, or same fixture, I'd bench Semenyo just. Yeah.
Mikalenko worth the transfer next week as fourth defender? It depends on who you're selling, actually. It's not that clear-cut to answer without having a bit more information about that.
Yeah.
Ben Sar or Jimenez, Gianni?
Probably Jimenez.
Got to be Jimenez, right? Palace at home to Brentford.
I think so. Brentford on the road will just concede. And I'm backing Palace. They've got a bit of swag at the moment.
Brentford are terrible. Next question is Gakpo plus Pickford or Wissa plus Alisson? Gakpo plus Pickford, because that gives you 2 doublers. Wissa's not a doubler, so I'd go with the first combo.
Yeah, fair enough. Palmer to Son. Why would you buy a Spurs player? I don't think so. Palmer's still brilliant, man. Palmer's still great. Like, don't be put off by a blank. Like, no, keep Palmer. Palmer is one of the most sold players in FPL this game week, by the way. I think he's third most sold.
Yeah, I saw.
It's nuts.
People are making non-priority transfers, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Sean is asking, I have 5 free transfers, sell vote for Gakpo, Timber, another defender, already have Trent and Salah. TGT with, do you have any idea who TGT is? I don't know. With Munoz, Gabriel, Odegaard, and Enzo. Again, I think this...
Trent and Salah together
with Munoz, Gabriel, Odegaard, and Enzo. Okay. So basically I assume he has 2 Liverpool, right? I think, I think this is a very good question, actually, because for someone, let's say, who doesn't have any pressing concern in his team, would he rather sell Wood for Gakpo, or would we rather sell Timber for, let's say, Van Dijk or Konate? I think I would lean towards selling Timber. I think, just about. What do you reckon, Johnny? Ben White in training soon.
Yeah, I'm probably with you there, Just. Yeah. Yeah,
so I think
because Timber accumulate into 5 free transfers, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. It will be an achievement unlocked for me if I ever get there, but I don't think I will this season. Matthew is asking, Johnny, you can take this.
Nice front 3. Salah, Trent. Would it make sense to swap Raya to Alisson? Maybe Matt, because you're probably not going Gakpo unless you want to somehow get Visser up to Gakpo. But Alisson's fine there.
Yes, I think I would because
29.
Alisson would give him a better fixture this week. It would give him a doubler in 24, and then it would give him an extra fixture in 29 when Raya is blanking. So I would make that transfer.
Matt. Oh no, Raya's not going to blank in 29 though. Raya's going to play in 29 because he's got Chelsea and Newcastle are going to beat. So actually, it's probably not going to be Liverpool blanking in 29.
Oh yeah, I got it wrong. I got it the other way.
Yeah, not Raya. It's the other way around. But
so that's trickier then. That's
if
much trickier.
Fabianski is your backup keeper, he plays in 29. Who does he play?
Exactly. I think that's critical. West Ham have Everton away. Good
memory.
I looked at it because I was checking Calvert-Lewin's fixtures for 29. That's why I know.
I was going to say that was fast. So yeah, you can definitely play Fabianski for the Dominic Calvert-Lewin hat trick. Michael says Jackson to Visser or Mateta. I'd go Mateta, I think. If I'm picking between the two, I'd go Mateta. 3 Liverpool ready. Guys, thank you so much for your questions. Last one. Sell Matoma to Timber to fund Arnold and cheap mid. Yeah, I'd sell them both. Guys, only 70 of you have hit that like button. I can't imagine that's right. Is it? Big man, go on. Give your best plea to end the show.
Guys, if you like the show, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We keep producing content every week. So any bit of support from your side will be massively appreciated. Thank you.
Good stuff. Guys, on that bombshell, we will say goodbye until Friday. We'll be back on Friday. Me, Dean, and Big Man. Don't go anywhere. If you're just tuning in, go and watch the last hour. It's been an awesome chat about Liverpool, Everton, our teams, and a load on chip strategy as well. So go back and watch the last hour. Hit those buttons on the way out, and we'll see you on Friday. Bye-bye.